The world of cryptids and unknown creatures is a vast one, with tales being spread down over the years. I have always had an innate interest in these tales, so for that reason, I have decided to make a series where I will investigate and tell you guys some of the most interesting stories I can find. So without wasting any more time, I welcome you to what I am going to call Cryptid Tales. Albert Ostman was a Canadian prospector, lumberjack, and a woodman. While he had heard stories of the alleged man-beasts that resided in the woods near Toba Inlet, British Columbia, he refused to believe them, as most would. When he visited the area in 1924, he claims he was simply visiting for the purpose of vacationing. While he was out there, he believed that someone had been visiting his site during his sleep. On the fourth night, he had resolved to stay awake on this night in order to hopefully catch whoever or whatever it was in the act. However, for whatever reason, Ostman failed to keep up and eventually fell asleep. He woke suddenly to something carrying him while he was still in a sleeping bag. Those stories of man-beast probably came to his mind at that moment. The large creature carried him for what he claimed was over 3 hours across the countryside. When they finally made it to their destination, the creature put him down on a plateau. Now Ostman could see that there were at least 4 of the creatures, which he now believed to be Sasquatch. The one that had carried him, likely an adult male, appeared to stand at least 8 feet in height. Ostman said this about the creatures. "They look like a family. Old man, old lady, and 2 young ones, a boy and a girl. The boy and the girl seemed to be scared of me. The old lady did not seem too pleased about what the old man dragged home. But the old man was waving his arms and telling them all what he had in mind. They all left me then." Ostman had his gun on him, but decided not to use it. As far as he could tell, they meant him no harm. The large creatures then fed him what he said was sweet-tasting grass, which was washed, stacked, and given to him by the adult female Sasquatch. Ostman attempted to befriend the young male in order to get the larger adult male to eat some of his snuff in order to escape. Ostman also talked about the ideas of bringing the young female into captivity, likely in order to prove its existence. However, he changed his mind, saying this on it. "But what good would that have been? I would have to keep her in a cage for public display. I don't think we have any right to force our way of life on other people, and I don't think they would like it. The noise and racket in a modern city they would not like any more than I do." After about 6 days, Ostman became worried about the prospect that he would be used for mating. Although he wasn't fully convinced of this, he certainly did not want to find out. He ended up being semi-successful in his attempt to poison the adult male, as the creature had eaten enough of the snuff to become groggy and allow Ostman to make his escape. Ostman eventually came upon a logger. He neglected to mention the story of the Bigfoot family in fear of being considered crazy. In fact, he didn't speak on this event at all to the public until 1957, when he was hearing other people tell their stories. He claims he didn't say anything in order to avoid being labeled as crazy. This story is still one of the more memorable Bigfoot tales to this date. The following story I had originally believed to be part of a creepypasta tale written about the Slender Man. However, that turns out to only be half true, because while the story was in a collaborative Slenderman story, it appears they had chosen it only for the coincidence and similarities to Slenderman's mythos. It turns out the actual tale traces back to a book by W.K. McNeill called Ghost Stories from the American South, which was a collection of stories that McNeill found from the American South. This particular story appears in the book's 7th section, Other Supernatural Creatures. The actual narrator is unnamed, but for the purposes of this retelling, I will call him Sam. In this story, Sam's cousin, who's a young kid infamous for his lies, comes to live with his family. One summer night, the cousin woke the narrator scared by a scratching sound on the roof, which he claimed sounded like footsteps. Sam dismissed it as an animal, especially considering his cousin's reputation, and went back to sleep. Later, the cousin told Sam's father about the noise, however he didn't believe him either. One evening, when Sam's family was having supper, his youngest sister named Lily went outside to fetch water. When her screams rang out, the family rushed outside to see what had happened. After a while, we heard Lily scream, and it was Ma who got up first and then Pop. The rest of us stayed at the table because we was like to get in trouble if Lily was hurt and we was there to gloat. Soon enough, though, we heard Pop and Ma shouting too, so me and John went out to see if they needed our help. All they had was the water pail Lily carried out, and there was no sign of her. Sam was in a state of shock as his distraught family cried out. Then his cousin pointed over to the field across from them, where he claimed he saw something. "It's the man walking yonder," he yells, and he's pointing out across the field. No one's listening to him, and he keeps saying it. "It's the man walking yonder. It's the man walking yonder." You already know it was supper time, so you know the sun was setting and it was hard to see. But when I looked out over that field at the back of the house, the whole thing was lit up orange, and there was a row of big black trees that was at the edge of the woods, you know. And I swear to you that I saw one of the trees moving like a man walking away, but it couldn't have been a man, because there ain't no man that tall and skinny. Pap seen it too, I think. He told us, he took us inside, locked all the doors, and he made us keep still while he got out his rifle. Unfortunately, Sam claims that while nothing else happened to them, nothing was ever found out about his missing sister or what took her. While these stories cannot be verified, the fact that they could be true is unsettling enough. The world is full of mysteries and uncharted territory where people claim dark creatures and undiscovered species might reside. So just be wary, because if you aren't careful, you might be the next one to be taken by the unknown.